This is Deobra Redden, who is facing allegations of attempted battery in Nevada. On April 18, 2023, 30-year-old Redden was apprehended for reportedly assaulting his brother-in-law with a baseball bat. Redden entered a guilty plea and confronted a potential term ranging from 1 to 4 years of incarceration. During his sentence, Redden engaged in a composed and straightforward dialogue with Clark County District Judge Mary Kay Holthus.
I would like to tell the courts everyone here, based on my criminal history, I feel that I shouldn't be sent to prison for a second time.
Judge Holthus subsequently reminded Redden of his criminal record.
3 felonies, a gross, 9 misdemeanors, multiple DVs. Got a lot going on, sir.
Redden, who grappled with mental health disorders, such as schizophrenia and bipolar illness, attempted to persuade the judge that he warranted a second opportunity. However, Judge Holthus rejected it entirely.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time to get a taste of something else because I just can't with that history.
This is when the defendant became unhinged. Redden vaulted over the courtroom bench and advanced directly towards Judge Holthus. Ultimately, deputies succeeded in restraining him. There was pure anarchy in the courtroom when alarms went out and people started calling for aid.
That's affirmative. Medical is requested. Judge's chambers.
Yeah, be advised. 515's got a big laceration to his head. Judge hit her head into the wall, and I got an inmate that's bleeding up here.
It's going to be a positive transport to UMC for a marshal.
Be advised, I'm also going to need a biohazard cleanup for a lot of blood.
Fortunately, Judge Holthus had no significant injuries. Later, it was found that Redden had hit the judge numerous times and torn out sections of her hair. One marshal required hospitalization and received 25 stitches for a forehead injury, in addition to a dislocated shoulder. Heavily restrained and using a spit mask, Redden appeared in court again a few days later to receive the verdict for his initial assault charge.
Court does now sentence you in addition to the $25 administrative assessment fee, $150 DNA fee, the $3 DNA administrative assessment fee, and $250 indigent defense fee, 19 to 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections.
Furthermore, Redden encountered 13 additional counts related to the assault on Judge Holthus, encompassing attempted murder, violence, and extortion by threat. If found guilty, he may face decades in incarceration. When Deobra Redden directed his ire towards an unfortunate judge, what transpires when an inmate had a breakdown? Like in the instance of Zier Duffy, who was before the Lorain Municipal Court in Ohio for his sentencing. In May 2018, Duffy directed law enforcement in a high-speed pursuit through the city of Elyria. The 25-year-old, already evading parole and classified as a wanted fugitive, subsequently collided his vehicle with a police cruiser. Duffy was arrested and charged with drug trafficking, weapons possession, and led police to a high-speed automobile pursuit. The prosecution presented its case in court.
He's been involved in a number of offenses involving guns, drug trafficking, high-speed chases with the police. He has no regard for society. He has no regard for the police. He has posted on Facebook F12, which means F the police. He's uncooperative with the police.
Prior to sentencing, Duffy had an opportunity to justify his behavior.
I was doing good, Your Honor. I really was. I was doing good. They just made me look like a monster. The person they just made me out to be, Your Honor, I'm scared of that person that they just tried to make me out.
As the defendant wept, Judge Jim Miraldi maintained a hard demeanor. As Judge Miraldi commenced reading Duffy's lengthy sentence, the defendant wiped his tears and turned away from the judge. It appears those were merely insincere tears, as Duffy glanced at the courtroom camera and winked minutes earlier.
Which was the judicial release case, 14 CR 0895550.
Finally, it was time for Duffy to learn his fate.
Sentence would be for 13 years and 4 months with credit for time served. You have already served some certain amount of time in prison.
It is evident that the defendant reacted unfavorably to the news.
So you just gave me 13 years.
13 years and 4 months.
F3s, 4s, and 5s, bro.
That's
How
right.
is this a justice system, man?
It's justice because I gave you more opportunities. I'm talking right now.
Eventually, all of DeVee's sorrowful efforts went to naught as he was ultimately sentenced to 13 years in prison. Although Zier DeVee's feigned tears did not persuade the judge, what occurs when the judge expels a criminal from the courtroom? Like in the case of Alan McCarthy Jr., who's facing charges of making death threats to the judge in Daytona Beach, Florida. In 2018, an anonymous call was received by the Volusia County Sheriff's Office.
Communications, Warhurst.
Yeah, I want to report a crime that's about to happen.
What do you mean a crime that's about to happen?
Yeah, there's about to be a crime that's going to happen if my kids don't come back to me, you stupid. Because your stupid judges don't want to bring people to courtrooms. I got a gun pointed at your building.
Sir, what is going on?
Who the are you calling, sir, you stupid? Don't your judge warn that. You going to bring that out in handcuffs and I'm going to execute that right in the street.
Okay, where are you at, sir?
Mother, I just told you I'm outside of her building waiting for her to get there in the morning. I'm going to pop a cap in that, you stupid.
Was subsequently identified as 36-year-old Alan McCarthy Jr., who erroneously accused Circuit Judge Stacia Warren of removing his children in a child custody manner.
Fucking take my kids from me and act like that? You and that fucking bitch.
Months later, McCarthy appeared in court to respond to his offenses. During his pre-trial hearing, McCarthy engaged in incessant profanity-laden tirades throughout the proceedings.
Removed from this room, the judge threatened my life. I am scared. I want to be removed. I would like to be removed from this room. The judge threatened my life and I want to press charges.
Judge Matt Foxman issued him a warning.
It's not going to be a second time. If there's a second time, I'm going to duct tape.
I'm going to tell you, you just threatened my life. Duct tape. I just hear that. You just threatened to duct tape me? Really? In the courtroom, a judge just threatened to duct tape me?
No, I said
You just said on record you're going to duct tape me.
But that appeared to trigger him even more. McCarthy persisted in obstructing the proceedings.
No, I refuse. No, I refuse. I refuse. He threatened to duct tape me. He threatened to duct tape me. I refuse.
When his trial commenced, McCarthy exhibited his most confrontational demeanor. However, the profane defendant persisted in disparaging the judge and his staff.
My dad owns the building and I look like a fucking idiot, huh? Brought your dress today, you little fucking prick. You want to fucking take my kids from me and act like that? You and that fucking bitch.
Unsurprisingly, McCarthy was pulled from the court and sat in a separate room. Nonetheless, that room lacked soundproofing. McCarthy was ultimately sentenced to 20 years in prison for threatening to assassinate Judge Warren. Although Alan McCarthy Jr.'s tumultuous courtroom behavior did not garner him any favor, how does it measure against the act of spitting on a judge? Like in the case of 30-year-old Bass Webb, who is in court on attempted murder charges. CCTV footage outside of a Kentucky jail depicted Webb, a former inmate who had served 3 months, deliberately striking 2 prison employees with his vehicle. While one individual managed to dodge it, the other was not so lucky. Webb was apprehended and presented in court before Judge Vanessa Dixon. However, what Webb did next astonished the entire courtroom. Webb expectorated on Judge Dixon, evidently catching her off guard. Following an initial dismissal, Judge Dixon summoned Webb, accused him, and subsequently expelled him from her courtroom. Nevertheless, this is not the end of Webb's disobedience of the law. While awaiting trial, Webb instigated a brawl with fellow detainees at the Fayette County Detention Center. was blasted with beanbag rounds and even wounded in the neck with a pepper ball. Webb struck a prison officer with a metal telephone box. He was punished for his actions and sentenced to 15 years of incarceration. Furthermore, Webb was found guilty of attempting to murder 2 jail employees and received an extra 37 years, resulting in a total sentence of 52 years in prison. While incarcerated, new evidence came forward linking Webb to the unsolved murder of his ex-girlfriend, Bria Runowitz. To evade the death penalty, Webb entered a guilty plea and received an additional 50-year prison sentence.
We'll accept the jury's recommendation of 5 years on count 1, enhanced to 15 years pursuant to the persistent felony offender of first degree.
5 years later, another cold case resurfaced to trouble Webb. This time, he was charged with the murder of another ex-girlfriend, Sabrina Vaughn.
Found the defendant guilty of the offense of intentional murder.
Webb came to court with a menacing tattoo on his head. It had a murder hit list of those he planned to assassinate, encompassing all judges, prosecutors, police officers, members of the media, 3 informants that were crossed out, among others. Webb was found guilty of all charges. He was subsequently condemned to life in jail with a chance of parole after 25 years.